Have you ever had a neighbor so obnoxious that they turned your winter wonderland into a war zone? Meet Tom, an ordinary dad just trying to enjoy some quality time with his kids. Sophie, 8, and Jake, 6. One peaceful December morning, they were building the perfect snowman in their front yard, snow-packed tight. Carrot nose, and coal eyes sparkling with joy. But then came Karen, the neighborhood's self-appointed queen, with her shiny black SUV. With a screech of tires, she plowed right through their snowman, shattering it into a pile of snow and dreams. But that wasn't the worst part. No, Karen didn't stop there, she was just getting started. From unsightly lawn violations to threatening letters, Karen was determined to ruin their fun. Little did she know, this dad wasn't about to let her get away with it. What happens next is an epic showdown of snowmen, revenge, and karma that you have to see to believe. Keep reading to find out how one snowman changed everything. It was a chilly December morning, with frost sparkling on the ground like tiny diamonds. The air was crisp, and everything seemed peaceful as Tom, a dedicated dad, spent his morning with his two kids, Sophie, 8, and Jake, 6. They were deep in concentration, rolling the final snowball for their snowman, which was going to be their best one yet. The snowman stood proudly, 5 feet tall, with a perfect carrot nose and sparkling coal eyes. For Tom, this was more than just a snowman, it was a symbol of the family's winter tradition. Something they'd done every year since the kids could walk. The joy of the moment, however, was shattered in an instant. Out of nowhere, a sleek black SUV appeared, screeching to a halt in front of their yard. Before they could even process what was happening, the SUV roared forward, plowing right through their snowman. It crumpled into a heap of snow and broken dreams. Tom's heart sank as he watched his kids' faces fall in disbelief. Just as he was about to react, the driver, Karen, tossed a smug WA violation letter out of her window, then sped off as if nothing had happened. The war had begun. After the first attack, Tom couldn't believe what had just happened. He thought maybe Karen had simply had a bad day. Maybe a moment of frustration. Who would run over a snowman for fun? Especially knowing how much it meant to a family. The kids were upset, but Tom tried to reassure them. It was just a mistake, right? But the next weekend, as the first flakes of snow began to fall again, Tom and the kids decided to rebuild their snowman. This time, they would make it bigger and better, a true winter masterpiece. The cold air bit at their skin as they spent hours packing the snow tight, shaping the snowman with extra care. Tom's fingers went numb, but the kids' laughter kept him going. The snowman stood there, 6 feet tall, arms made from twigs, and a scarf borrowed from Jake's closet. It was perfect. That Sunday night, as Tom and his kids settled in after a long day, he heard the unmistakable sound of tires crunching over the fresh snow. He peeked out of the window and froze. There, in the distance, was Karen's black SUV, moving in slow circles around their yard. Tom's heart raced as he saw her line up. Before he could react, she floored it, reversing straight over the snowman with a sickening crunch. As if to rub it in, Karen stepped out, smirked at the camera, and stuck another violation letter on Tom's door. This time, it was for an unsightly lawn decoration. Tom's blood boiled. This wasn't just an accident, it was a declaration of war. By the third snowman, Tom had had enough. No longer willing to let Karen win, he decided to up the ante. This time, the kids begged him to build another one. Despite the crushing disappointment, Tom wanted to keep the joy alive for Sophie and Jake. But he couldn't shake the feeling that Karen was turning their innocent tradition into something darker. The kids worked tirelessly beside him, packing snow tight and adding extra layers to make sure this one was tougher, more resilient. It would be harder for her to destroy. They finished it late in the evening. The snowman standing tall with a scarf, coal eyes, and a perfect carrot nose. Tom watched as his kids beamed with pride, their frozen fingers forgotten in the warmth of their smiles. The next morning, Tom woke up to an all-too-familiar sight. The snowman was in ruins. His heart sank as he gazed out the window. And there she was, Karen, standing on his yard, shovel in hand, her face twisted in satisfaction. She had taken her anger out on their creation, stomping across the yard with a crazed fury. First, she smashed the head, then the body, until all that remained was a sad pile of snow chunks. Sophie watched the footage on Tom's phone, asking in confusion, Why does she hate us? Daddy? Tom didn't have an answer. It hurt to see the joy of his children trampled again. But this time, something inside him snapped. The violation letter showed up shortly after, obstructing neighborhood harmony. Tom was done. This wasn't about a snowman anymore, it was about standing up to a bully. He started recording everything, determined to gather evidence. Every moment of Karen's destruction would be captured. And it was only a matter of time before he found a way to make her pay. The battle was far from over. Tom was done playing nice. By the fourth snowman, it wasn't just about creating something special for his kids anymore, it was about taking a stand. Karen had gone too far. Her relentless destruction of their snowmen had pushed Tom beyond his limits. This time, he wasn't going to tell Sophie and Jake. They didn't need to be a part of the next stage of this battle. Late that night, after the kids had gone to bed, Tom worked alone under the glow of his porch light. He built the snowman with purpose, carefully packing the snow around a steel core. No ordinary snowman would survive Karen's wrath. But this one would be different. Tom reinforced it with mesh and concrete, making sure it would stand firm no matter what. The snowman stood proudly in the yard, larger than ever, with a scarf wrapped around its neck and twigs for arms. It looked innocent enough, but Tom knew this one had teeth. The next morning, he stood at the window, waiting. Every passing car made his heart race. Was it Karen? Would she be back to destroy it? Like the others? The tension mounted, but for days, nothing happened. Maybe, just maybe, Karen had given up. Then, on the fifth night, Tom was jolted awake by the screech of tires. He rushed to the window, his heart pounding. There it was, Karen's black SUV. Creeping down the street, she slowly circled the yard, like a predator sizing up its prey. Tom's grip tightened on the blinds. Every muscle in his body tensed. Then, without warning, she floored it. The SUV slammed into the snowman with a deafening crash. But this time, the snowman barely budged. Karen's SUV, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. The hood crumpled like tin foil. Tom's grin was wide as he watched Karen stumble out of her vehicle, cursing, her front axle destroyed. The joy of watching her meltdown was bittersweet. He had finally caught her slipping. And it was all on camera. The evidence was clear. Tom had won. But he wasn't done yet. He would make sure Karen's reign of terror was over. And this time, it would be her downfall.